Ram Dass coined the term becoming nobody. But today we are going to be talking about becoming somebody. Becoming somebody. And while I absolutely love Ram Dass and his teachings, I believe in order to become nobody, we must first become somebody. And that's what we are diving into today. Welcome back, sweet, beautiful souls, to Divine Alignment. Becoming you, your unique embodiment, your unique truth, your unique expression and emanation in this world. It's so funny to even honestly record and create something talking about this because it would seem so simple. Just be you. And yet, I actually think that in this time in human history, more people are being called up to who they truly are than ever before. And we have many souls who are lost and don't really actually understand and know who they are, who their soul, what their soul is, who their soul is, and how to express this and emanate this into the world. And the interesting thing about this though is that, as I've shared in previous episodes, this does require letting go of our old versions of ourselves and welcoming in a new version of ourselves. And so this can be a bit disorienting to try and figure out, well, does that mean I just throw everything away that I've created and my relationships and this life? And it's like, no, there's a path and a way that's perfect for you. But really, the invitation is that in every moment, there's an opportunity to die and be reborn, to die and be reborn, to die and be reborn. And becoming yourself. This was the message that really just came through that. So there are people who need to step up, or rather step into their truth, who they are, who you came to be. The world doesn't need more people who are living as a copycat or an emanation of whoever influencer, whoever leader, whoever anything. And it's so fascinating because I really think that this is part of the programming taking place. So this is why so many souls have become lost. And trust me, I have found myself and I'm still learning myself and I'm still learning my truth and I'm still learning who I am and the depths of who I am. But I really feel as though the past month for me was a huge initiation into becoming who I am and who I'm becoming, and an expansion of my truth and my knowing and my remembering. I really think that this began with my silence that I did, where I didn't speak with anyone, I didn't consume any content. And that was about a little over a month ago now. And I recorded an episode on that and like my learnings and what I received from doing that. And honestly, it's really been continuing. It really like wiped the slate clean for me. It wiped the slate clean. It was like it's like an energetic colonic, really, because I feel like I just detoxed and released so many of the energies in my field and in my body and in my consciousness that I had been thinking about, that I had been feeling into. And as a sensitive soul, it's very my parents even used to say when I was younger, you're very impressionable. Little did they know. Little did they know they had a projector sensitive soul. But this is so funny because learning this sensitivity, I mean, sensitivity is such a gift because I now see and can harness it in a way that I wasn't able to direct that growing up for much of my life. But now seeing and harnessing and directing my sensitivity is such a superpower. It's such a gift. But when it's not being used correct or not correctly, but just like appropriately and in service and in wholeness and in amplification of who you are and your mission and your life, it can be very depleting because it can be too much of other people's energies just getting clogged in your field. And so then it can be really hard to feel into like, what is mine? What do I like? What do I think? Because it's like, are those thoughts even mine? Are those thoughts that I am thinking even mine? That is a question to ask yourself. If something does not feel correct, it does not feel true, ask, is this thought mine? So when I did that, really that silence, it purged, again, spiritual colonic, energetic colonic. It purged so much of these frequencies that were just in my field. And since then, I have literally, I think, 2 like videos or podcasts that I've consumed since then, and they weren't even like the full thing. Like one of them I listened to for like 5 minutes and the other was like 15 minutes. And I haven't read any books, listened to any books. Like I'm back on social media, but I'm very deliberate. And of course, I'm human, I'm learning, and I'm not perfect, but I've become much more attuned to who I want to consume their content, what I want to consume, and really tuning into how I feel and managing my energy first and foremost. And as I've done this, I have amplified what I know to be true about myself. I have amplified my connection with God, source, the universe. I've amplified my knowing of my power. And that is knowing who you are. That is knowing who you are. If you don't know how powerful you are, you don't know who you are. If you don't feel in the depths of your being how powerful you are, you don't know who you are. That is what knowing who you are is. It doesn't mean like, oh, I know that my favorite color is blue and that I like long walks on the beach and that like my favorite meal is this. And that's not knowing who you are. Those are fluid. Those can change. Those are transient. Those are transient preferences of this human. Who you are is a divine emanation of God, okay? Who you are is an expansive emanation that can literally harness the power of God to move mountains and create worlds. That's who you are. So if you don't feel that power within you, you don't know who you are. And this is something that we get the opportunity to feel and remember and know every single day. I'm not saying that I have arrived. I am always going to be a student, always going to be at the step of learning and open to receiving and surrender to God and asking to be shown what's next. Show me who I am. Show me a level deeper. Show me and reveal to me all that I am. But as I've done this and come into this more and more and more, I am sensing and remembering that power. And as this happens, I'm literally watching everything in my life change. It's not because it's actually changing, it's because I'm changing. If you want people to change, change yourself. If you want your circumstances to change, change yourself. This comes from remembering your power, your sovereignty, your truth, your God essence, your source essence, your truth essence within you. This is what knowing who you are is. And this could really just be distilled and boiled down to one simple remembrance of your I am, of your power, of your knowing, of your connection to God, source divine. Again, all of these transient things have preferences. They're cute, they're sweet, they're fun. They're a fun part. They're like The visual I'm being shown is they're like the Christmas ornaments on the tree. They're like the ornaments on the tree. It like makes it fun and unique and like different from all the other Christmas trees. But like, do you know you're a tree? Do you know you're a tree? Because without knowing you're a tree, what are you going to put all the ornaments on? What are you going to like? All the ornaments are just kind of like there. Like they're there's not something to adorn. What are you adorning? Like what body are you adorning? What structure, what support are you putting all of the ornaments on? Right? Like you might know you're a body, but like what is this body composed and comprised of? Because it's not just organs and flesh and skin. Like there is a source, there is an energy so deep within you that is holding all of that together. Okay? That is holding all this together. That's what you are. And that's what we came to remember. So how do we remember this? How do we actually remember this? Because this, my friends, is actually one of the most challenging things I think right now in our current society. And again, I think that this is deliberate. So if you have struggled with this, do not be hard on yourself by any means, because this is like literally pumped into society, because if we don't know who we are, then we spend a lot of money and we fuel the society with purchasing all of these things to make us feel like we're better and to make us feel like whole, worthy, and complete, when none of these things can actually really do that, because the only thing that can make you know that you're whole, worthy, and complete is remembering that you're God, remembering that you're connected to God, source, the universe, that energy is within you and is you. So how do we do it? This is fascinating because I really believe that one of the only ways to do this is through surrendering who we truly are so that we can learn who we truly are. Surrendering all the things that we think that we are so we can learn who we truly are. This is what has to take place. This is what has to take place. And so a very physical, tangible step that we can do is to detox all of the noise in our sphere, in our vortex. What are you making yourself available to on a daily basis? What interactions, what connections, what accounts, what are you consuming? Like whose content are you consuming? What are you learning about? Like what are you spending your time learning about? And while I'm not saying, like, here's the thing, all the stuff that I was learning about, like, very great, very incredible content, very spiritual, very high frequency, high vibration. All of it was wonderful. But when it's too much and not enough time to like release and let go, it can cloud our field. So it doesn't actually matter as well if like you're consuming lots of high vibe content. There's a time and a place for none of it, for integration, for remembrance, which if you haven't, I will say that my divine remembrance meditation, which I'll link below, that like doing these meditations, this will help bring you into your truth. And so I would say that that is the best type of content to consume right now, is people and texts and audios and things that are going to remind you of you, remind you of your power, remind you of your truth, energy work that is going to bring you into your body, bring you into knowing who you are. And then it's like those are like the training wheels. And then when you're ready to take off the training wheels, let go of all of it. Let go of all of it. And what's really fascinating about this is that in this space, it can be really uncomfortable for our nervous system, because our nervous system has literally been tuned to being on. being on with all of these frequencies, that when we actually let go of it all, like that feels really scary. It can feel really scary. And so I really want to like honor that part if that's something that you faced in the past or will face when doing this, if you so choose to, is that it can feel really scary and really hard and really uncomfortable. When I did my like little detox, which I've done before, like I've done this before, but not this much, or rather this like long and as much. When I did this, I was like noticing like all of these things of like, it's like all of our human fears start to come up. What if I'm forgotten? What if no one notices that I'm not even showing up? What if I died? No one knew. I did have that thought once. um, but it's like the mind, it's just our ego. It's just this part within us that's so normal and so human. And we can just like honor it and like hold space for it and then know that it's like, yeah, and I'm very powerful and I'm connected to God right here, right now. So like, thank you. But God will not forget me. The universe will not forget me. Never. And when you actually remember this, and release that fear that you could actually never be forgotten. You don't forget you, and then you will see that reflected back to you. And what's been so fascinating for me is I've been just like witnessing just the richness of our inner world, the richness of our connection with our guides, the richness of the connection that we have with the nature, with the universe, with life, with moving about the world in a way that feels so incredible. That's what I've found has opened up and unlocked for me. And when we move about the world in this way, it's like synchronicities, magic, miracles, the miracle frequency, which I'm going to link that below. Like this has also been a huge initiation for me of witnessing, like just doing the miracle frequency put me into remembering my power. That put me into remembering my power. And then when I begin to remember my power, I begin to know who I am. And me sharing this with you is reflecting that back to you. Remember your power and you'll know who you are. And if you're watching this, you're already on that path. So like you're already doing this. You wouldn't have attracted this. Like someone who's completely forgotten who they are is not going to even like have this come into their field. So you're doing this work. Okay. So like really like honor and just like congratulate yourself for that, because there's a lot of people who are still asleep. They're still asleep. And what came through just last night actually was like, we're really being asked right now to choose. Like the time is getting, it's like the gap is getting smaller, or it's coming in more and more and more of like, you're either going to choose to be asleep or you're going to choose to be like, live with God. And it's really just a choice. And to know that if you make that choice, everything will arrange in your life to make that so. And that can be difficult and that can be hard because some things are going to fall away. And that's really like what I want to share too. Like is this can lead to the tower if you're familiar with tarot, which also I'm going to link one of my favorite decks below. But this can be a really challenging moment. The tower card, when everything falls away, our beliefs, our sudden things happen. We can perceive them as bad when relationships fall away, or we suddenly have to move or suddenly have to do whatever. But it's like, what if that's just the universe directing you on your path? And it's like, we've got to get there. We got to get her there. We got to get him there. And I've seen so many people in my life really struggling with relationships falling away, myself included. And this is really hard, but when you begin to learn who you are, this is kind of natural. And so like absolutely have space for the grief and the loss and the sadness, and also know that in surrendering that and letting that go, you're making space for people to come in who are actually aligned with who you are in this next phase of your journey and who you're becoming. And so these next people might not be there the rest of your life either, but it's or they may be, but it's like, again, really trusting the death and rebirth of every moment of every day, of every month, of every year, of every decade, of every lifetime. It's really the only inevitable. But when we become so grounded in our truth of who we are, all of that becomes so much easier. And I don't even want to say easier. It becomes, there's a freeing, a freeing. It feels freer because even though it can still be hard, we trust deeper, and there's freedom in the trusting deeper. There's power in the trusting deeper. There's a softness. There's a release in the trusting deeper. That's what's available. You're doing the work. You're doing the aligning. You're coming into this truth. And so if working with someone feels like a good fit to really help you get on that fast track to coming into your truth, I so invite you to apply below to one-on-one work with me. We're going to clear the obstacles, clear the resistance. I see your blocks. I see the root cause. I see what's standing in your way. I see the blocks in your field. We'll release them. It doesn't matter what it is. Your health, your wealth, your relationships, your path. It doesn't matter. It's all connected. It's all connected. So to think we could ever just work on one thing without looking at all of it is kind of just silly to me. I want your whole life to be incredible, and I want your whole life to be amazing. So we work on your whole life, right? Because it's all important and it all matters. And so if you want this support to truly step into your power and truly step into who you are as a divine emanation of God source, the universe, I so invite you to apply below. And with that, my loves, I am sending you all infinite love.